Welcome to episode 6 of the Amb Ant Podcast. I'm Amber.
And I'm Anthony.
And today we are talking about the biggest movie of 2022 so far, The Batman. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more podcast reviews like these. So, how did you feel about this one?
I honestly came into the movie blind. I didn't know that it was going to be a standalone. I didn't really know that even Robert Patinson was going to be in there.
Wait, is it a standalone?
Yeah, it's apparently a standalone. So we came into it pretty blind and still pretty blind. But,
I'm very blind.
So this is supposed to be one of movie one of a new trilogy for the Batman.
Wait, then how is that a standalone? I thought that a standalone just means that's not like a trilogy or something.
I just meant like standalone as compared to the rest of the franchise.
Oh, well, yeah,
that
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, so it has no relation to the other movies, and also the second and third movie hasn't been made yet, so it's pretty much a standalone right now.
Well, for now, then if it's planned, it's not a standalone. Anyways, continue.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, it has no relation to the other previous ones. You see a different Batman, you see a different situation, you see a different Gotham, and you see a different, even Alfred is different here.
Well, obviously, every time they kind of, have a new generation of, Batman, it's, everyone just gets, renewed in a way.
Yeah, it's really refreshing to see. I really like it when they reboot old superheroes like this, such as Spider-Man. I really enjoyed Spider-Man. Superman as well.
Yeah,
Pretty
I'm
cool.
not a superhero person, so, I don't know anything that you just said. And, I know the difference between Marvel and DC somewhat. I can, try to differentiate between the heroes, but, this whole genre is very new to me, I guess. So I don't know if I'm the best at reviewing a movie like this because I don't really have the context, but here I am.
Well, you can come at it with fresh eyes, as someone who is newer to the scene. But I've been around Marvel and DC for quite a few years. I've just, ever since I was a little kid, I was watching and playing the Batman games. Not really too much Marvel, but it was mainly DC, Justice League, watching, The Flash, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Just like those. And then there are spin-off movies and TV shows. I felt like, to answer your question, this movie was great. I felt I liked the dark...
With hesitation? Great?
I would say there's certain parts that had a lot of unnecessary social commentary type things. You had apparently there was one part in the movie where the Riddler turns to Batman and calls him out for being rich, versus he lost his parents, Riddler also lost his parents, and but Batman wasn't really the same status of orphan. I guess it makes sense, since he was rich and the Riddler was not. So the Riddler lived in a broken down orphanage house. It was apparently just the dude looked like he got picked on, and
yeah, and
Batman.
even Catwoman keeps on talking about him being so rich, and then Batman is super rich. I think it's a given, but then it was just unnecessary drawn emphasis on, and then it didn't really connect with the story. It's obviously if it did, I feel it would be more relevant, but it's the story is just the story, and then it's side note, he's super rich, that is bad, and it's why? I mean, yeah, but why?
Yeah, so I definitely could see it, but I just felt even although him being super rich would make his actions speak so much louder. I mean, I think people kind of innately know this, is like, if you have so many options and then you choose the one that, like, takes up all your time and, like, health and energy just, like, to fight crime, then you must, like, really care about that thing, because you're spending all your time, energy, and money, like, on fighting crime in Gotham, rather than doing anything else literally possible.
I see it, but yeah. Like, this movie, I remember, like, right after watching it, like, you didn't like it that much, but then I liked it a lot. And then now I feel like it's kind of, like, reversed. I'm like, oh, I'm partial. Like, as a, again, superhero movie, I guess it was a lot more depth than I thought that I was gonna get, because, like, before this, I only watched, like, the new Spider-Man with my friend, and I actually hated it. Like, the first two, like, was it, like, Homecoming or something? I don't really remember.
Yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming.
And it was just so shallow, and then I was like, oh my god, it's just, like, a 3-act, they're barely first acts, basically 3-act structure, like, story, and then it was super predictable, and it's like, at the end of the day, everyone gets saved, like, great, and I was like, oh my god, I'll never watch a superhero movie again. And then this, I felt like there was some things that were, like, more aesthetic, if you will. Like, I really liked how Gotham was portrayed. Like, it felt like a character almost. Like, it had a lot of, like, unique characteristics that made it stand out from, like, other cities. And it's like, oh my god, like, truly, this city is so bad that, like, it needs, like, a vigilante kind of, like, figure to help this, like, I don't even know, like, not just the police, but, like, help the, like, system out, so then, like, people can actually be safe in the city. So I kind of, like how they created the whole, like, spooky and grim atmosphere. Yeah, so overall I kind of liked it. But now I'm like, thinking back on it, it's forgettable.
Right. There was, it's a little forgettable for me as well, but I definitely feel like it was one of the better ones. I remember some of the other Batman movies I watched, ones with main villains being Bane, Joker, you got, what was that other one?
I have no idea. Like, don't look at me.
True, yes. But yeah, there were quite a few Batman villains, but I think the Riddler kind of, like, he's one of the crazier ones. I feel like Joker had a thing going.
I like Joker. Like, okay, I actually feel like the Riddler didn't have much personality, and, like, his screen time was so, like, small. Like, he was just crazy, period. It's like crazy, hates rich people, period. And then, like, the Joker, he was just, like, pure evil. And then he had so much going. Like, in The Dark Knight, I actually watched The Dark Knight because, like, I just remember hearing everyone saying, like, oh, Christopher Nolan. I actually watched it after watching Dunkirk. I don't know if you watched. And then that was, like, oh my god, the best movie ever to me. And then I was like, oh my god, I need to, like, know more about Christopher Nolan. But yeah, like, I watched that and I liked it a lot. But then I do think, like, it was more like the villain was the main character in that one, and here, like, the Riddler is kind of just, like, in the back, like, the mastermind behind everything.
Right, and I feel like that's kind of how it should be, right? Like, you want to have the focus on Batman and Catwoman, and even seeing the Penguin there was pretty fun. Penguin is not usually the main villain, I would say, but he's just the mafia dude, you know? But yeah, Gotham is usually portrayed as New York, except just a little worse, right? Like New York and LA combined.
Why is LA?
LA is bad.
No, not at all. I honestly don't think so. Okay,
SF then.
Oh god. Anyways, I refrain from commenting about that. But yeah, like, it is basically like New York for worse. I've never been to New York, so, like, I can shit on it with, like, no evidence. Good. But yeah, like, the movie, itself is still like it feels very deep because like, oh, people are super like angsty and it's like, oh yeah, I need to sacrifice so much to protect this city. And then I thought it was cool at the time, but then like the more I think about it, the more like performative it all feels, and then it's almost silly. Like, oh yeah, like he's speaking in this like very deep voice and being like, oh, every day we have to fight crime, and then it's like, oh, it's funny the more
I feel like
dwell on it.
you've seen too many Batman memes, perhaps.
No, I've never seen a single meme. I'm not even kidding.
You know, the joke is he's just like super depressed.
Yeah.
He's down.
Yeah.
And he's like serious.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, we have to struggle.
Yeah, that's exactly, and it's funny. Like, I've never watched a meme, but like I feel the meme energy from it. But at the same time, I also feel like Batman is one of the more like human kind of heroes that I see.
Oh yeah, he's just a normal dude.
Yeah, like I really like the design of it. Like I'm not too sure about like how it compares to like the other versions of Batman, but like it's like his suit is very like clunky in a way, and then it's like there's so much like random gear just like attached to him, and it feels like there's weight to it. I like that because it just makes it feel so much more realistic. And then like so much of the combat this time is just like close combat, and then you just feel like the visceral like damage that like every hit is like being taken. It's like, oh god, it feels almost uncomfortable, and I like that.
Yeah, so in the past, I actually didn't like Batman. He was like one of the, I guess, worst superheroes for me because he was just a dude. And then I was like, Batman versus Superman, when I watched that, I was like, wait, how is Batman even, how is he going to win? Because Superman could just like fly and like see through walls and like punch him and stuff.
So I've never watched a single Superman.
I just remember that and thinking just, like, how is this fair? Because he's just doomed. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, makes more sense. But yeah, so when I was in the past, Batman was my least favorite. But now,
is he growing on you?
He's growing on me a little bit. Yeah, it's just like I can kind of appreciate that, like, with all these like options, he chooses the one, and like he wants to basically help people and like
it's true,
and like improve the situation of his city. In every single iteration of Batman, you always see him like fighting for the people. It's like,
yeah, and I like how local he is. He's just there, Gotham, and then like that is his home base, and that is the thing that he wants to protect and change. Like, he's not trying to, oh, I'm gonna save the world kind of thing. I appreciate that greatly. But yeah, I just feel like because of how human the whole like character design of Batman is, it almost feels like, rather than an action like superhero movie, it feels like a detective movie plus just superpowers-ish, like, or just like super cool gear, if you will, like unrealistic gear. But then like so much of it was just like the riddles and like, oh, we try to find like the villain. Is this the person, the rat? I remember, right? The rat? Yeah.
The rat?
Yeah, didn't they say like who's the rat of the people? Like, it's like, is this person it? Is this person it? And then you keep on like kind of like questioning people. You kind of like test things out, and then you kind of like fight with them, and then realize, oh no, it's not it. It's not it. But then it's like, oh, it's kind of just logical in a way without like too much being like dwells on the logic of like trying to find who like the bad person is, but like it feels almost detective-y.
Right. I think my biggest issue with the movie at the time of watching it was just that I couldn't see anything. Everything was really, really dark. So then it just felt like a lot of scenes were being skipped and I couldn't follow along. But now that I'm thinking back, like, it just feels like it was more memorable in certain scenes that you can see things because everything else was dark. So I'm just like kind of
in contrast. Yeah, I would have liked more like detective elements because like that, again, I'm not really a hero person, so it's like, oh, like so then I can also kind of solve it with them and kind of like be let in with more clues. I would like that. And then, yeah, I agree that it's like, maybe it's because it's dark, maybe it's like just like very fast and swift whenever they look at evidence, because like, you know, he has like those contact lenses that can like also act as cameras and whatnot.
They record,
yeah,
and then he
that
just
was
like
so
takes
cool.
them off, and then it was a very high tech movie.
Yeah, it was a very high tech thing.
Yeah, it was just they spent a lot of effort like just making sure that everything was up to date and stuff. And, like, all the effects and stuff.
Yeah.
Really
Speaking of, like, I did kind of hate how dark it was, because sometimes I'm just like, I can only see his chin. Like, everything else
is black. Like, he's wearing black, it's black, you know,
his
it's
mask,
nighttime,
everything.
You know, lights are off.
It's like chin, floating chin. But then at the same time, like, some of the, like, light design, like, some cinematography was actually really pretty in a way. It was just like, when, you know, like, he was like fighting with the people and then you can only see the light from the machine guns. Like, that scene was so cool. Like, it was also in the trailer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I really like that.
Right, when the goons were shooting at him and he was just like, he just shows up every now and then after the flashes go off, and you just see him taking people out.
Yeah, I see why they made it so dark. I agree that sometimes it is, like, to the detriment of, like, the movie, but then, like, at the same time, it's, like, it fits with, like, Batman's character of kind of, like, just hiding in the shadows, and then just, you know, being a dark and gloomy person, like, personality-wise as well.
Yeah, I feel like you almost can't talk about Batman without mentioning that he's rich, and then you almost can't, like,
True.
Like, I feel like in every iteration, I feel like I've seen, like, even in the Bane one, so I'm not quite, I don't remember exactly the movie name of the Bane one, but Bane was just talking about, like, how he was born in, like, the darkness, he was born in poverty, and, like, in the hole, right? Literally in a hole. And then, like, Batman was, like, up there, and then how they can't compare each other because, like, he went through so much struggle and Batman knows nothing of the struggle. And then same thing we have here is just like the Riddler calls Batman out for like not knowing what it's like to be an orphan, even though he was, because he had money and the other guy did not. So it's
I don't like that argument. Like,
it
I
happens
get
every single time.
Yeah, I get the first one. It's like, oh, you don't know how it feels to be like poor, but like, it's like, oh, you don't know what it feels like to be an orphan? That's, like, way too much. Like, that crosses the line of logic. Because it's like, being an orphan is being an orphan.
It's different things,
Yeah, I'm just like, too. Like, yeah, like, if you want to just talk about money and then, like, you know, kind of have, like, the social classes and the clashing of it, it's, like, fine. But then if you're, like, you don't know, like, how it feels to be an orphan because you're rich, like, that's just, like, what the heck?
You can still feel the feels of losing your parents,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
No matter what, like, how rich you are.
Whatever situation you are.
Right, because it's not just like, are you rich or are you not? It's like, to what extent are you rich, you know? Like,
and also, like, I can't buy parents? Like, sure not.
Yeah, it's always to what extent. And then, like, I'm not sure if, like, to what extent did they not have parents? They both did not have parents. So
period.
Like, period, right? And, you know, like, Bruce Wayne is on the other end of rich, you know, wealth, and then the Riddler was not.
Yeah.
I guess there's big discrepancy there, but it doesn't, like, one thing doesn't bleed into the other, I feel like, in this situation.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of the Riddler and whatnot, it's like, I felt like the movie was too long. After I knew who the Riddler was and then he was captured, I almost just wanted to be over. Like, it was already very long. It got kind of repetitive. Like, oh yeah, who is it? Like, is it this person? We fight this person. Oh, another officer is about to die. And then another officer is about to die. And another riddle and whatnot. And then it's like, oh, finally, we got this person. And it's like, ha ha ha, I actually have a grand master plan. And I was like, oh my god, please don't. Just stop. Oh my no.
Yeah, so he kind of, he planted bombs around the city, and then he
like, had a bunch of supporters.
Right, he had a bunch of supporters. People basically on the dark web, and then they're, like, trying to, like, egg each other on to, like, cause mass destruction. I didn't quite understand that part, because, I guess it's just dark web things. They just like obtain all these weapons
Guns?
and stuff.
Like, it was... I don't know.
I think it's possible, but
Maybe.
at the same
I have
time,
no idea.
it's a little weird.
Yeah.
Because also, weren't they operating under like they have no money or something? Some sort of.
I don't know, man.
I'm not sure how they like
Got the funding.
got the funds. Maybe that's beside the point, but
Yeah.
they somehow did, and then.
But that whole, like,
There's
scene,
yeah.
I was like, oh god, why?
Yeah, so you basically get together a group of people, like, basically school shooters, and then they, like...
Oh my god, don't say that.
True.
Oh my god.
Basically, shooters.
Just people
who...
people who are, like, against the society. God damn it.
Right. People who are against the society.
It's true.
And then they all, like, want to suicide. In like this,
Who knows?
go out with a bang.
Yeah, but it's like, I did not like that whole thing because I don't really understand the necessity of it. Like, eventually it didn't do anything other than, like, destroy the city, I guess. And then I just felt like, oh, it was just trying to be too many movies at once. It's like detective movie, action movie, and also disaster movie. Like, if I were to watch, like, the water scene alone, I would be like, am I watching, like, 2012? Am I watching the day before Wait, the day after tomorrow? Like, what movie am I watching? It's like too many elements sprinkled in.
Yeah, like the movie didn't really have one clear message because I remember in was it when we saw Catwoman with her friends, like trying to save her friends.
Yeah.
That was also a little bit of a weird part.
Yeah.
Batman.
Random.
Yeah, Batman was trying to obtain information. Catwoman was off on her own quest, and then like we kind of followed Catwoman around a little bit. So it's just I'm not sure. That was inserted randomly.
Yeah. I again, like, when I was watching it, I thought it was cool. After thinking about it, I'm just like, it's a jumble of a lot of random things.
They wanted to include everything. I'm sure even like parts were cut out too, because
Yeah.
with the amount of content, you could make a whole story. Like they made a whole story about like Penguin too within the movie about the Riddler. So it's just, like the Penguin had his only like what was it, maybe like 10-20 minutes were chased like. Where was just a scene where Batman and the detective guy, the actual detective guy.
There's a whole story about Falcone.
Oh right, Falcone too.
Not the rat, right?
Right.
And then I was like, why are there so many bad people? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, so you kind of have so many mini bosses in this movie.
Yeah.
It's great if you know the Penguin.
Yeah, maybe
like
you feel
if
like
you know,
nostalgia,
yeah, like it was huge nostalgia for me because Penguin was one of the OG characters.
I was just confused. Like, who are they? Why do I care? Like, I just want to get the Riddler. Like, why do we need to go through so much stuff?
Right, because I think what they're gonna end up doing is placing the Penguin as like maybe one of the main bad guys or something later on in the second movie or third movie. Maybe, or maybe they just turned the Penguin good because the Penguin he was innocent and like he's just a mafia guy. I don't know.
But yeah, the Penguin fight was pretty cool though. The car fight.
Yeah, the car
typical, chase. Classic like action movie. It's like, oh, car chase, boom, shakalaka, explosions. Walking in fire.
Honestly, the way they confronted Penguin afterwards, like it was like they won, but they just they just wrecked half the city's highway or something.
I know. And then like sometimes I'm just like, didn't they say like Batman wouldn't kill people? Like, really? no one was killed in that collision?
Yeah, they definitely like destroyed a lot of things.
Overall,
they did not think about it.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh god. Again, maybe it's like good because like the special effects were so like realistic, and I feel weight and like, like.
Oh, the camera work too.
Like, especially like comparing to like The Dark Knight, because I did watch it relatively recently, and then it's like, oh, you can tell the years have changed. Like back in the day, there were like also like cars flipping and whatnot, but then it was kind of like fake in a way. And then like this one overall, it just felt like gritty and like
Yeah, special effects have come a long way.
True. Again, that's like definitely something going for the movie, but like, does that save it from the story being so like, oh, you thought it was this person? No, but this is a badder person. Like, this is a worse person. And then look at this person. He's even worse than the last guy. And I was like, okay, cool. And then like, disaster strikes. And then they also had to add in like Catwoman like saving Batman.
And their romance.
Oh, the romance.
It's actually just so fitting because it's 2022. And that's exactly what it's like in 2022.
Just like, oh, lust. Hit it up, man.
Yeah, lust, hit it up, and then like, oh, I gotta split. Sorry, yo.
Yeah, I was so confused. It's like, yeah, the first time they saw each other, it's like, clearly they had different goals. Like, why are they even trying to work together? And then after a while, it's just like, oh, but you just, I can't take my eyes off of you, kind of. And I was like, wait, what? And then they kissed kind of at the end, right? And I was like, wait, but why? Like, where did this come from? Was it necessary? Like, I keep on hearing, like, people saying, like, oh yeah, this is a 3-hour movie, but, like, every second of it was, like, so worth it. And I'm just like, no, there's so many things I didn't have to see. It's fine.
But it's fine. Yeah, I feel like I don't remember. There were a lot of iterations of Batman and Catwoman. Some they weren't a couple. I think most they weren't a couple though. Yeah, I feel like Batman and Catwoman were always kind of at odds. Like Catwoman was a burglar originally. Well, I mean, here she was kind of doing some sketchy stuff as well.
But then it was like she was doing it for good, established.
Yeah,
like she was doing it for a friend.
I don't remember exactly which Batman this was, but Catwoman originally was just a burglar for greed. Like she was just greedy and like, but they can't like show that here because of romance and like you can't show specific characters having greedy thoughts, right? So it was just.
It's just I don't like how it was just written so like Catwoman is like decidedly good. Like, all the characters were kind of just written like, oh, this person is good, this is a good cop, and then the good cop will always do good things. The bad cop, they'll always do bad things. They're terrible to their not wife, but like, mistress, I guess.
Yeah, they're just terrible to everyone.
They're terrible to their children, like, they're just terrible people, like, period. And then that made it kind of cheapened everything in a way. It was just like, there is no like human quality in these like side characters.
Right. The Riddler was just he was just very bad and he wanted to just kill everything. So it just seemed very one dimensional the entire way through. It was also kind of unclear why the Riddler thought that Batman would understand everything that he went through. Given that, like, in the next sentence or next few, while they were talking, the Riddler also said, Batman, you should, like, you shouldn't, like, you have no understanding of what it feels like to be me, even though you're an orphan. And then he also thought that Batman should understand all the clues that he left, that he was going to do it, and even join him in his quest to destroy everything. So it was a little unclear there. I don't quite follow the logic, but
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, he is just pure evil, but at the same time, I like the Joker so much more. Like in The Dark Knight, it's like, yeah, they're all just like bad, period. But then like the Joker was so much more. He didn't try to be human. Like, exactly the things about, like, trying to connect with the Batman, being like, yes, you understand me, right? Haha. Right. It's like, no, he was just very crazy. And then, like, he just did things that logic cannot explain, and that was all. But then, like, this one is kind of, like, trying to force some kind of, like, convoluted, like, understanding between the two. And I was like, wait, why? Unnecessary, but I guess so. But, like, it's just less fun to look at, I think. So I don't like this villain at all.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. The Riddler is definitely no Joker. Joker Joker iterations have always been iconic, right, to Batman. So.
But yeah, so many parts of it's just like, why are there like the Riddler kept on trying to say like, oh yeah, you should feel shame, kind of like because like this is all because of your father, and then it's like the sins of your father must be
the sins of the father, and that immediately made me think of religion for some reason, like sins of the father.
How is that religion?
Like sins, like your father has sinned, and therefore it's passed on to you, and like sins, religious. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Like the connection between
I understand, but then like the original sin, everyone has it. It's like the second you're born, it's not really connected to your father or anything.
Or well, I mean, where does the idea of like sin originate from, right? Like something
I
just
thought
is.
It was just morals. I don't know.
Where do the morals come from? It's the Judeo-Christian like kind of ideology, right?
I don't know. I will not agree or disagree with that. But yeah, I just felt like it was just unnecessary to add that element in. Just to me, as like a narrative standpoint, I don't want to like morally like talk about. It's like, oh, like he should not do something just because his dad did something. It's like I don't really care about that. But then it's just more like, well, why do we have to also talk about that and how does it connect? And then like they touched upon it, but then didn't like make that the center of the story. Again, this movie just felt like it's trying to do so many things. It's like, oh yeah, this concept seems deep, right? Look at this. Like, oh, the moral, I guess, like dilemma, ambiguity. Like, is his dad actually a good person or not? But like, I don't have any emotional connection with him anyway, so it's like, I don't really care if he's like a bad person. Like, oh, go for it. Like, he's evil, like businessman. Cool. I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like they just had to like. Kind of along that note, right? Like the reason why, like one of the reasons why they may have done this, try to include everything is just like give people that nostalgia hit from like he's like from like remembering Batman. Oh, his like parents originally got gunned down in the streets basically by a burglar, in every single Batman iteration. So then they're trying to like connect it all, right? They're trying to like get as many villains as possible in there from the previous Batmans. They're trying to like get Catwoman in there as well. Put in. Oh yeah, let's put in like the car chase, right? The car chase, very very iconic as well. Yeah. Let's put in like a little bit of the social commentary, rich versus poor.
And also, like, the whole kind of, like, father-son relationship between Alfred. And,
all right.
Like, I know that, like, since he was an orphan, so, like, he didn't have, like, parental love and whatnot, so then, yeah, like, he would definitely feel a lot for Alfred. But, like, to me, with no prior history of, like, oh, the dynamic between the two, I was just like, oh, he is so sad. And then, like, the whole, like, oh, you're like a father to me just hits kind of awkwardly. I'm just like, you're just adding that in to make the audience kind of, like, feel sad. So I feel manipulated emotionally a little, and I was like, wait, I don't feel this sadness.
Yeah, I actually felt the sadness as well. Because
you felt it?
I felt the sadness.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's actually interesting because like I knew the previous version of Alfred from all the other movies, so then I honestly think that like this movie was kind of an easy one, right? Like they have like a low ball because or what is it called?
Checklist.
Yeah, they have a checklist, right? they checked all the boxes. I felt bad for Alfred. Like usually Alfred isn't the one to get hurt. I feel like Alfred isn't the one to get targeted. Alfred is always the guy who like cleans Batman up after Batman gets hurt. This time around, I don't think Batman got hurt much. I feel like
only at the end.
At the end, sort of, but I feel like he kind of recovered.
Yeah.
It showed him like riding off into the distance with his motorcycle and stuff like that. Just fine. But yeah, Alfred doesn't usually, almost die. So then I was like, wow, what the, like they killed Alfred because he just got bombed.
True, but like again, like that just makes me feel like they have a checklist of things that they need to include, and then it's like, oh, what makes like our other fans like feel sad and like emotionally heightened, and then it's like, yo, let's add this in, let's add like the shock factor of like, oh, Tom Wayne is a bad person, and it's like, oh, really? I never knew, and then I was completely like, I guess like this. Betrayed in a way.
We're completely bamboozled because Batman's parents were always like philanthropic, like nice billionaires, like these are the nice billionaire people. They do nothing wrong. So they it was always portrayed like that. And then now
I don't like that. I just feel like it's too like designed in a way. There is no like genuine heart in it.
Well, they're just trying to flip the narrative, right? They're trying to create a new franchise, a new like kind of, well, not a new franchise, but a new spin-off of the franchise that was like massively successful since like, I don't know, mid 1900s.
Yeah, but overall to me, it's like, oh, I thought it was cool, but again, forgettable. And will I watch the next movie if it ever comes out? Like, I mean, sure, but like maybe for Robert Patinson. Like, speaking of the acting, like because like everyone was talking about like, oh my god, basically Edward from Twilight is gonna be Batman now, kind of thing. And then to me, like, oh my god, Twilight was terrible, but nostalgia like gold for me. So it's like, yes, I feel it. I was intrigued to see him as Batman. And then I feel like I keep on seeing everyone talking about how good his acting was in this movie. And then I had like the preconception that, oh yeah, he's really good in this movie. But, like, I don't know if that idea was just, like, induced by, like, other people, or did I also kind of actually agree with it? What do you think?
I felt like this iteration of Batman was good. One thing I would note is that, like, he doesn't look as huge as the other Batmans physically, so it was kind of hard to see, like, Pretty Boy from Twilight look massive like Batman should. Like, without his shirt on, like, sure, he has muscles, but he was not as, like, he was not the Rock massive, right? not many people are, honestly, so that's kind of unfair, but still, could be more.
Yeah, and then I remember, like, when we just watched it, you said, like, oh yeah, like, is that good acting now? Like, just being silent?
Yeah, so he was just silent, right? And I was like, yeah, I guess that's good acting. You know, he's playing the part of Batman. There's the silent, you know, what is it? Broody type? Brooding type, yeah, brooding. Yeah, so you're just the silent type, and then you're just, you're deep that way, because you don't say anything.
But, like, I hear about, like, how good his acting is, like, especially, like, Isabella watched, like, is it, like, Lighthouse or something? It's, like, an indie film that he did with Willem Dafoe, and then she was like, oh my god, it's so good, and I've seen the trailer, so I was like, oh my god, he looks like he's so good at acting. So then I do want to see, like, more of, like, variety, rather than just, like, oh, I'm sad, and I act with my eyes.
Yeah, also, I think his anger needed a little work, because when he was trying to get mad at the Riddler, I felt like it was just a try to get mad. He wasn't, like, actually mad, but I don't know why I felt that. It just feel like when he was, like, pounding the glass or something, he's, like, couldn't... Like, he was talking just fine when he was pounding the glass, and usually when you're, like, using that much force pounding the glass, you're just, like, you're not even gonna talk, you're just gonna fucking scream at him, and if you're angry, you just be like, you know, and then you just pound the glass.
Yeah. I kind of feel that, too.
Yeah.
Like,
he was just talking kind of normally,
yeah,
but, like, shouting, right?
Yeah, but it's like, is it like he's kind of restraining himself, or is it just awkwardness, like...
Right, yeah. It's just
dissonance.
Like, if he's a silent, brooding type who can't really find... Who speaks less words, how did he find the words there?
Yeah, so I don't get it. Like, again, it's like, the more I think about it, the more, like, odd oddities I find. So then it's like, I have very ambiguous feelings about this one.
Yeah, I don't think it was meant to be, you know, too thought about too deeply. You know,
Yeah,
it's not like a social comedy. It's like an action adventure.
Adventure? No,
Adventure. We explore.
No.
Okay, well, maybe not adventure.
I feel like
It's
action detective.
Almost,
yeah.
And what was it, the 2012
biggest movie? What do you want to say?
No, the survival, whatever, the
Oh.
going to the torch.
2012. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Disaster.
Disaster
Right.
movie.
Yeah.
So it's just a mixture of all three.
Yeah.
What would you rate it?
Oh my god. I remember rating it like an 8 out of 10 when I just watched it. But after, like, contemplation, I want to give it, like, a 7. But then also just taking into account that it's a superhero movie and I don't like superhero movies, so then I bumped the score up because I already put it in the category as such rather than, like, purely about, like, my personal enjoyment. I think 7.
Okay. I would put it, I think, before, when we just came out of theaters, I was like, wow, this is kind of meh. But then now thinking about it again, it was probably pretty good. Like, I was, like, I can remember some parts.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it was better than some of the other movies we've watched. So,
yeah.
Like, I don't know, that's some of the anime movies and like,
and a lot
and like some of the other
random movies.
Just random movies. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'd probably give it like, instead of a 7.5 from like out of the movie theater, I'd probably give it like a 8.5.
Damn.
Just give it one extra point. Some of the lighting was weird, but
lighting was cool and weird. Like, the goods were very good, the bads were just, I cannot see.
I can't see.
Floating
I don't like being unable to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I close my eyes, I'm similarly unable to see. And I get that for free.
I guess, like, I just want more, like, detective elements of it, because I feel like it was trying to do that. Like, oh yeah, he's just a man, but he has just, like, really high-tech gear kind of thing. And then just, like, more, if you want to go the human route, like, more actual, like, human connection, emotion kind of thing, like, that's what I expect from it. So, yeah. Like, I would still recommend it to people who like, I guess, DC, the whole franchise.
Yeah, it's a good DC film. DC.
Yeah, I don't know.
DC have not had, like, too many good hits.
Yeah, I just don't
lately.
know anything. So I'm just like, I guess
maybe they
would
can
like it.
Yeah, like, they can revive their whole, like, kind of franchise with this. The DC cinematic universe.
Yeah, but, like, this also made me just really want to watch The Joker.
Oh.
Like, with Joaquin Phoenix.
True.
Do you want to watch it?
Of course. For another time.
Okay. let's watch it sometime.
Alright. That's about, I think that about wraps it up.
Yes.
Thanks, guys, for watching.
Okay. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.